looking at this, I'm going to use my adjustment layer to raise now the highlight, excuse me, the shadow values, not overexposing, not worrying about the highlights here. Okay, and then looking at the adjustment layer, all adjustment layers come with a layer mask, and I'm going to use this layer mask. I'm going to take a paintbrush, I'll make my foreground color black. You can use, when you're working with masks, very important to have the default black and white foreground color. The default is foreground color white, background color black. You can move this arrow to flip back, switch back and forth from foreground color, or you can click X on your keyboard to go back and forth. So when you're working at mask, the X key is kind of helpful, because when you're working, you want to be able to move from black to white quickly and easily. Because if I start painting in black here, I'm going to back up, and actually this is an opportunity for me to show you why I also have the history palette open and coupled with the layers palette here. If I click on history, I can back up. I do multiple undos. Just remember, with history, you can back up multiple times, but depending on how you set the history layer, whether it's 30 steps or 50 steps or whatever you set it, I mean, you can do it, you can set it however you want, but it does take up a lot of memory, and so there's not a whole lot of merit in going to excessive number of steps, of retaining an excessive number of steps. Generally 20 or so is more than enough to back up, do multiple undos here, because that's basically what you're using history for your working session. Remember that history is gone when you close the file. It doesn't go with it when you save it. It's just basically there in your clipboard, in essence, to work with while you're working with the image in that one particular work session. All right, so I'm going to back up and then go back to layers, and then this also is I can see where the adjustment layer is highlighted, but I actually do not have the mask highlighted. This is a good opportunity to show you that you need to actually select the mask, and when you select the mask, it's going to have this little frame around it. That's very important. And what I'm going to do here is take the paintbrush, and I'm just going to make it a little larger. Another keyboard shortcut is right bracket will make the paintbrush larger, left bracket the diameter smaller. So that's a quick keyboard shortcut there. I'll rough this out, and then if I flip back to white, and if I click on a starting point, and then I shift click on an ending point, I get a straight line. Starting point, shift click, ending point. And then if I zoom in here, and again you can see the importance of being able to flip back and forth from black to white. When I'm painting in white, I'm bringing back the mask. When I'm painting in black, I'm cutting through the mask. So what I'm doing here is, and if I, another shortcut is Apple 0, and then if I go to Apple minus, I can zoom out. So Apple 0 is give me the entire image, and then Apple minus, I can zoom out. Apple plus, I can zoom in. A couple other keyboard shortcuts. So I might definitely spend a little bit more time on it, but I won't do that for the for this movie. To just give you a general idea, you would fine tune this mask, and so now what I have is increased the shadow values, so I can now have detail in the shadows and detail in the highlight. Another thing that's bothered me, which there are purists that would have a problem with this, and it just depends on what kind of photography you're doing. I wouldn't do this if this was straight, or I might not do this. Very likely would not do this if this was straight journalism, and that is to work with the color balance here, because it really is an alteration of this. But if I'm printing this for an exhibition or something, it's totally just my interpretation of the scene, and I want a pleasing print. Then I could interpret this, do something with the color balance here. It's perfectly natural and normal to have blue color balance in your shadows. Is a very natural event. But if I wanted to, I could add another adjustment layer and go to Channel Mixer, click on monochrome, and make the entire image black and white. And you see this is a nice value there. I mean, if you like black and whites, I like black and white images. That actually works as a black and white image. And this is where this is interpretive. You wouldn't do this with photojournalism, but if you're doing it as fine art, or again just putting this on the wall, yeah, you could. It's kind of a popular, fairly popular thing to do, is to have mixed black and white color in a single image. And so you might do that here as an interpretation, but also as a way to eliminate that not particularly attractive blue color shift, if in a perfect world. So I've changed this to black and white. If this is a good opportunity to look at the difference between white and black with a layer mask. White, of course, I see the full effects of the changes I've made in the channel mixer. If in levels, you can see when I paint in black, I'm cutting out and therefore revealing what's underneath, the layer underneath. With the white, I'm getting the full effect of, in this case, the levels adjustment. And in this case, I'm getting the layer mask is fully white, and therefore I'm getting the full effect of the channel mixer. And depending on how much you need to paint in there, you might start with white or start with black. By default, you're starting with white. But in this case, it's half and half, so it's I could start with white or black. If I started with black, that is, fill that mask in with black, I'm back to the color version, and then if I take my brush and paint and knock out that blue color shift, which again, perfectly natural, but I want to interpret the image this way.